report on side event. My name is Ahmed Mifreh. I am the Executive Director of Committee for Justice, and I am welcoming all of you. I will give the floor to our moderator, Awa Belda, to moderate the side event. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this side event in Sudan, organized by Committee for Justice, together with Special Procedures, the African Commission, and also the Committee of Inquiry on Sudan. As you know, the armed conflict in Sudan continues to generate grave human rights violations and humanitarian consequences, including patterns of unlawful killings, indiscriminate attacks, conflict-related sexual violence, arbitrary detention, enforced disappearances, and acts tantamount to enforced disappearances, and large-scale displacement. In this context, victims and survivors face urgent protection needs, while accountability pathways remain fragmented and difficult to access. This is why this side event has been organized with a view to provide a focused platform to advance practical victim-centered coordination that strengthens the protection and reinforces accountability. As you know, it will last for 1 hour, so without further delay, I will give the floor to our first panelist, Your Excellency Idrissa Sow, the Chairperson of the African Commission on People and Human Rights. Welcome, Commissioner Sow. Please, the floor is yours.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Awa Baldé, pour l'occasion que vous m'offrez de prendre la parole à cet important panel qui porte spécialement sur la situation des droits de l'homme au Soudan. Vous savez, notre commission, en tant qu'organe de protection des droits de l'homme, a pris en charge la question préoccupante du Soudan. Nous avons à cet égard mené 2 missions d'établissement des faits. La première mission a été menée de façon en ligne et la deuxième a eu lieu sur on ground au Tchad plus récemment. Nous avons déjà publié un rapport. Le vice-président qui a conduit cette mission sous son leadership reviendra dans les détails et vous parlera peut-être des recommandations, des constatations d'abord, mais ensuite des recommandations. Alors, pour ce qui me concerne, je ferai des propos introductifs et je voudrais également, dire un mot sur le sens de notre présence à cette site event. J'ai tenu personnellement à venir accompagner la délégation pour montrer comment cette question est prise au sérieux au niveau de la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme que j'ai l'honneur de présider. Donc, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, je tiens tout d'abord à remercier les organisateurs de cet événement ainsi que l'ensemble des partenaires engagés dans cette initiative importante visant à renforcer la protection des victimes et les mécanismes de responsabilité dans le contexte de la crise au Soudan. La situation au Soudan continue de susciter une profonde préoccupation, comme je l'ai dit tout à l'heure, en raison de la gravité et de l'ampleur des violations des droits de l'homme et du droit international humanitaire qui ont été signalées depuis le début du conflit. Les informations disponibles font état d'attaques contre les civils, de violences sexuelles liées au conflit, de détentions arbitraires, de cas de disparition forcée et de déplacements massifs de population que nous avons déjà documentés sur notre rapport qui est rendu public. Face à ces réalités, il est essentiel que les mécanismes régionaux et internationaux de protection des droits de l'homme travaillent de manière complémentaire et coordonnée afin d'assurer que les efforts de documentation contribuent effectivement à la protection des victimes, notamment civiles, et à la lutte contre l'impunité. Dans ce contexte, la feuille de route d'Addis Abeba ainsi que le document de coopération entre l'Union africaine et les Nations unies en matière de droits de l'homme constitue un cadre particulièrement pertinent pour renforcer la coopération entre les mécanismes africains et les mécanismes des Nations unies. Cette feuille de route ainsi que ce cadre que je viens d'évoquer vise à favoriser une connectivité institutionnelle plus structurée entre nos systèmes respectifs tout en respectant pleinement l'indépendance de nos mandats. Dans le contexte spécifique du Soudan, cette approche peut jouer un rôle déterminant à plusieurs niveaux. D'abord, elle permet de renforcer la coordination entre les mécanismes d'enquête et de documentation, notamment en établissant au niveau africain, en réalité, un vivier d'informations qui pourrait être utilisé dans le cadre de la redevabilité et de la justice, du travail de la justice qui suivra en réalité ces rapports. Deuxièmement, elle peut faciliter la mise en place de modalités sûres et sensibles à la protection pour l'engagement avec les victimes, les témoins et les organisations de la société civile en veillant au respect des principes de consentement éclairé et de ne pas nuire. Troisièmement, elle contribue à assurer que les informations collectées par les différents mécanismes puissent, lorsque cela sera approprié, alimenter des processus de suivi et de responsabilité cohérents et complémentaires. Et cela est très important pour nous puisqu'il s'agit de parler de redevabilité. Afin d'opérationnaliser cette coopération dans le cadre du Soudan, plusieurs étapes institutionnelles concrètes peuvent être envisagées de notre point de vue. Il s'agit notamment de renforcer les points focaux institutionnels entre les mécanismes africains et les mécanismes des Nations Unies afin de faciliter la communication et la coordination. Il s'agit également de développer des messages communs et cohérents sur la protection des civils, notamment dans le cadre des engagements internationaux relatifs au respect du droit international humanitaire. Il s'agit également d'encourager des modalités de partage d'informations et de suivi respectant les exigences de protection des témoins, de la confidentialité des informations sensibles. Toutes ces mesures peuvent contribuer, à notre avis, à réduire la fragmentation des initiatives et à renforcer l'impact des efforts déployés par les différents mécanismes internationaux et régionaux. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, l'expérience montre que la documentation des violations, bien qu'essentielle, ne suffit pas à elle seule. Elle doit s'inscrire, et c'est important pour nous, dans un cadre plus large permettant de traduire les informations recueillies en actions concrètes en matière de protection, de prévention et de responsabilité. C'est précisément dans cette perspective que la coopération entre l'Union africaine et les Nations unies revêt, de notre point de vue, une importance particulière. En renforçant la connectivité entre nos mécanismes respectifs, nous pouvons contribuer à assurer que les victimes et les survivants disposent de voies plus claires et plus sûres pour faire entendre leur voix et rechercher la justice. La Commission africaine que j'ai l'honneur de présider demeure pleinement engagée à poursuivre ce travail en coopération étroite avec les mécanismes des Nations unies, les États membres et les partenaires de la société civile. Je vous remercie pour votre aimable attention.
Merci beaucoup, Commissioner So. So if you allow me now, I will give the floor to Dr. Mona Rashmawi, member of the Independent International Fact-Finding Mission on Sudan. Please, Dr. Mona, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to join this event and to be on the panel with the African Commission Fact-Finding Mission and the Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women, and with you, Madam Chair. While the work of our own fact-finding mission focuses on accountability, our efforts together are complementary, highlighting the imperative to protect civilians and civilian infrastructure during conflict. Our recommendations in this regard are all aligned. I thank the organizers for this important meeting and look forward to hearing the other panelists. With regard to the protection of civilians, I have to say that the recent reports on attacks against medical centers, personnel, and patients in Darfur and beyond are deeply alarming, and our team is actively investigating these allegations. During this session of the Human Rights Council, we presented our report on Al-Fashir, concluding that attacks that led to its takeover by the rapid support forces bear the hallmarks of genocide. We did not reach this conclusion lightly. It is grounded in a careful analysis of the modus operandi through which these violations were carried out. Our mission found that the violence committed by the RSF in and around Al-Fashir forms part of a coherent, widespread, and escalating course of conduct directed in particular against the Zaghawa and Darfur in the context of a prolonged siege. We documented a widespread and systematic pattern of killings, including mass killings throughout the city, at exit points, at the brims, at the university, at the Saudi hospital, and continuing along the routes of displacement, alongside ethnically targeted rape and other forms of sexual and gender-based violence, arbitrary detention, torture, and cruel treatment, enforced disappearances, extortion, and forced displacement, contributing directly to the destruction of fabric of society. These acts were combined with deliberate imposition of conditions of life incompatible with survivor, including starvation, denial of humanitarian assistance, and the destruction of medical care. These acts were committed with knowledge, organization, and repetition, and were accompanied by dehumanizing and exterminatory language. Taken together, the scale, severity, and cumulative impact of these acts present indications pointing to genocide in and around Al-Fashir. We have identified some of the perpetrators and are cooperating with judicial bodies in line with our mandate to ensure that they are brought to justice. A key concern today is the risk of repetition. There are credible allegations that the modus operandi we identified in Al-Fashir may spill over and be replicated elsewhere. Ladies and gentlemen, the impact of the conflict in Sudan is also felt across the region. In addition to the massive displacement, cross-border attacks are affecting regional security and stability. The recommendations in our report reflect the urgency of the moment. Immediate measures are needed to protect civilians and civilian infrastructure. We echo in this regard the African Commission's recommendation to deploy a peacekeeping force. The international community must act decisively to disrupt and deter the repetition of this pattern, including through coordinated diplomatic engagement, targeted measures such as sanctions and support for monitoring and early warning efforts. Accountability pathways must also be reinforced through the preservation of evidence and support to justice mechanisms, particularly the International Criminal Court. Accountability remains a key tool of prevention, and our joint panel here shows how we are all committed to achieve this goal. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Mona. If you allow me now, I will give the floor to Commissioner Hatem Hissem, Vice President of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. And he is the head of African Commission Fact-Finding Mission on Sudan. Please, Commissioner, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Merci pour la parole. Pardon. Je présente mes respects à tous les présents, tout protocole respecté. Comme vous le savez, mesdames, messieurs, la commission d'enquête africaine a été mandatée par le Conseil de paix et de sécurité, qui a enjoint à notre commission d'enquêter sur les exactions commises au Soudan et sur la situation des droits de l'homme pour identifier les responsabilités et documenter toutes les violations. Donc cette mission, nous l'avions mise sur pied à travers une résolution de notre commission. Elle est composée de 5 commissaires. Moi-même, j'ai été placé à la tête de cette commission parce que je suis le rapporteur pays pour le Soudan depuis de nombreuses années. Et avec moi, j'ai 4 collègues commissaires. Et ils ont été choisis par les thèmes qu'ils président à la commission. Il y a avec moi ici l'honorable commissaire Selma Sassi, qui est la rapporteure pour les déplacés, les réfugiés et les personnes qui demandent l'asile. Nous avons également notre sœur Janet Ramatoulaye, qui est le rapporteur pour la condition de la femme. Nous avons également le commissaire Solomon Derso, qui est responsable des situations de conflit. Et enfin, la commissaire d'État, qui est responsable des populations autochtones. Alors, pour cette mission d'enquête, nous avons donc procédé avec une approche méthodologique, je dirais scientifique. C'était une approche hybride, donc, qui consistait à collecter et à vérifier rigoureusement les preuves et en toute indépendance et impartialité. Alors, vu le manque de moyens financiers au début de notre mission, nous avons travaillé virtuellement. Alors, au mois de mars dernier, nous avons consacré 2 semaines à écouter les victimes et les témoins. Donc, pour cette première mission, nous avons reçu 28 soumissions écrites. Nous avons conduit 38 entretiens confidentiels avec des témoins et des victimes. Et nous avons reçu également plus de 30 éléments numériques documentés, incluant des photos, des vidéos et des rapports qui étaient transmis soit à partir du Soudan ou par la diaspora soudanaise dans les pays limitrophes. Donc, et nous avons donc, pour vérifier et analyser ces moyens, utilisé ce qu'on appelle l'OSINT, c'est-à-dire l'Open Source Intelligence, la recherche inversée d'images et de vidéos, l'analyse des métadonnées et la vérification géolocalisée et chronologique des événements. Alors, suite à tout ce travail-là, nous avons pu donc finir un premier rapport qui a été donc avalisé par la commission dans son intégralité en juillet dernier, et nous l'avons rendu public donc au mois d'octobre. Alors, qu'est-ce qu'il ressort de ce premier rapport? C'est que nous avons recensé les violations suivantes: les massacres de civils, des exécutions extrajudiciaires, des disparitions forcées, des violences sexuelles massives, des arrestations arbitraires, la destruction d'infrastructures civiles. Quand je dis civiles, c'est des écoles, c'est des hôpitaux, c'est des universités, et des attaques ciblant surtout des communautés sur une base ethnique. La mission a également constaté l'ampleur de la catastrophe humanitaire et du déplacement massif des populations. Donc, j'ai déjà cité les difficultés financières que nous avons rencontrées au début de notre mission, ainsi que des difficultés d'accès aux victimes, parce que pour pouvoir accéder aux victimes, il fallait soit se déplacer au Soudan lui-même ou dans les pays limitrophes. Et à ce titre, nous avons demandé les autorisations des pays voisins. Et à ce titre, je tiens à remercier et à citer donc la réponse positive des autorités tchadiennes qui nous ont permis de donner l'autorisation de nous déplacer au Tchad pour rencontrer les victimes. Et c'est ainsi que, suite à la publication du premier rapport, nous avons eu quelques fonds de l'Union africaine, plus une petite épargne de notre commission. Nous avons pu nous déplacer fin janvier 2026 au Tchad, donc, et plus précisément à Adré. Et nous avons donc, lors de cette visite, allé sur le terrain voir les principaux camps de réfugiés à Adré et 2 autres camps sur la frontière, à Boutengue et à Métché. Et nous avons pu rencontrer des dizaines de milliers de réfugiés, donc du 19 au 23 janvier. Alors, ce que je tiens à citer ici également, donc, cette mission a été vraiment une collaboration entre les membres de la Commission africaine, mais également nos frères et sœurs des Nations Unies. Parce que n'eût été l'aide logistique du HCR, et du PAM, du FIDA qui étaient sur place, nous n'aurions pas pu nous déplacer là-bas. D'abord, pour le transport interne aérien. Ensuite, sur place, il nous fallait des véhicules tout-terrain. Ça a été donc fourni par le HCR et le PAM. Et nous avons été logés dans les campements également avec nos collègues du HCR et du PAM sur place. Donc, nous avons pu donc, pendant ce séjour-là, donc, écouter, voir de visu, rencontrer les victimes, que ce soit des hommes, des femmes, des jeunes, des enfants. Et nous avons vu également la détresse de ces milliers de personnes qui ne survivaient que grâce à l'aide internationale, et notamment pour les vivres, celle du PAM. Donc, que toutes ces personnes présentes sur place en soient remerciées. Alors, avant de nous déplacer sur le terrain, nous avons également été briefés par les autorités tchadiennes. Donc, nous avons eu des rencontres au ministère des Affaires étrangères. Nous avons vu M. le ministre, ainsi que le ministre de la Justice, des Droits humains, de l'Action sociale. Et nous avons donc, à la fin de cette mission-là, retrouvé les mêmes actions, c'est-à-dire les massacres de civils, les exécutions sommaires, les disparitions forcées, les violences sexuelles massives, et c'est des violences sexuelles qui touchent non seulement les femmes, les jeunes filles, les enfants et même les hommes. Et la destruction de villages et d'infrastructures civiles. Ainsi, alors, ce que nous avons relevé également, c'est que lorsque nous étions à l'est du Tchad, tous ces campements-là étaient donc des personnes de la même ethnie. C'était des gens qui étaient de l'ethnie massalite, Four également. Et nous avons donc relevé, comme l'a dit Madame Mona avant moi, un problème des ACAT qui visait une ethnie particulière. Donc, c'est les ethnies massalites, Four, noires africaines qui étaient ciblées. Donc, et toutes ces exactions ont été documentées par la mission. Alors, actuellement, donc, toutes ces preuves sont recueillies et nous sommes en train de confectionner, d'élaborer notre deuxième rapport qui, nous l'espérons, sera prêt d'ici la fin avril, parce qu'il faut que ce rapport soit avalisé par les 11 commissaires, donc lors de notre prochaine session du mois de mai. Et là, il sera rendu public et disponible dans au moins 4 langues de travail. Donc, ce que je dirais à la fin de mon briefing, de mon intervention, c'est d'appeler donc l'attention soutenue de la Commission africaine, de l'Union africaine sur cette situation-là, surtout une mobilisation également de la communauté internationale, parce que la situation est très grave. C'est des gens qui survivent. Donc, le gouvernement tchadien fait ce qu'il peut, mais c'est des choses qui sont au-dessus de ses moyens. Donc, nous appelons un effort international. Et également, donc, il faudrait que le plus tôt possible, il y ait une protection internationale de ces victimes, donc, de toutes les exactions. Voilà ce que je voulais dire à propos de cette mission d'enquête. Je vous remercie de votre attention, mesdames et messieurs.
Merci beaucoup, Commissioner Hatem. Now I will give the floor to Commissioner Salma Sassi, member of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, and also part of the fact-finding mission on Sudan. Commissioner, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la modératrice. Bon après-midi à tous les participants. Je souhaiterais à mon tour remercier tous les organisateurs de ce side event et me réjouir de faire partie de cet événement à côté de mes collègues des Nations Unies ainsi que de la société civile. Je souhaiterais également centrer mon intervention sur la question des déplacements forcés dans le contexte du conflit au Soudan. Et en ce qu'il constitue aujourd'hui l'une des manifestations, je dirais, non seulement les plus visibles, mais aussi les plus révélatrices de l'effondrement de la protection des civils. La crise actuelle au Soudan a atteint une ampleur sans précédent. Plus de 11 millions de déplacés internes à l'intérieur du Soudan, en faisant de cet État justement la plus grande crise de déplacement au monde, et près de 4 millions de réfugiés dans les États voisins. Et il paraît essentiel de souligner d'emblée que ces déplacements ne sauraient être appréhendés comme un phénomène, je dirais, secondaire du conflit au Soudan. Dans de nombreux cas, malheureusement, ces déplacements forcés constituent la conséquence directe des violations graves et massives du droit international, des droits de l'homme, mais également du droit international humanitaire. Les travaux de la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples, notamment à travers la mission d'établissement des faits, s'inscrivent pleinement dans cette logique. Ils ont permis, que ce soit lors de la phase virtuelle, comme cela a été rappelé par mes collègues, ou encore durant la mission sur le terrain au Tchad, de documenter des schémas de violation particulièrement graves, incluant des attaques dirigées contre les populations civiles, des exécutions sommaires, des destructions systématiques des biens, ainsi que des violences ciblées sur une base ethnique. Dans ce contexte, il convient de constater clairement que fuir devient au Soudan non plus un choix, mais pour beaucoup, c'est la dernière, c'est l'ultime forme de survie. Cependant, l'un des constats les plus préoccupants, issus de notre travail, est que le déplacement, malheureusement, ne met pas fin au risque de violence, mais il le prolonge et, dans certains cas, l'intensifie même. Les témoignages que nous avons recueillis au niveau de notre commission font état de violations aussi graves les unes que les autres, des attaques contre les personnes en déplacement, des exécutions au point de sortie, des séparations familiales, des violences sexuelles et une vulnérabilité accrue pour les femmes et les enfants. Autrement dit, la fuite elle-même peut devenir un espace de violence. Et notre mission a également mis en évidence des éléments particulièrement préoccupants qui aggravent ces dynamiques de déplacement. D'une part, les restrictions à la circulation et les situations de siège. D'autre part, l'obstruction de l'accès humanitaire. Et ce sont ces éléments-là, justement, qui traduisent non seulement une crise humanitaire, mais une défaillance que je qualifierais de structurelle de la protection des civils. Et dans ce contexte, il apparaît, comme cela a été rappelé par mes collègues des Nations Unies et de la Commission, que le rôle des mécanismes d'établissement des faits aussi bien internationaux qu'africains est absolument central à ce stade. Ces mécanismes ne visent pas uniquement à établir des faits, mais ils visent également à identifier les schémas de violation, à préserver les éléments de preuve et surtout à contribuer aux voies de responsabilité et de redevabilité, de justice pour les victimes et de mettre fin à l'impunité. Car aujourd'hui, comme on l'a répété souvent, les mécanismes existent, les informations sont disponibles, les analyses sont présentes, mais la question demeure pendante. Comment transformer tous ces éléments en protection effective pour les victimes? La réponse peut suggérer de prévoir une coopération renforcée, mais également opérationnelle, fondée notamment sur un partage d'informations, une coordination institutionnelle beaucoup plus claire et une capacité à traduire la documentation en actions concrètes. Car il faudra le rappeler que documenter est indispensable, mais documenter sans protection ni suite, ce n'est pas encore répondre pleinement aux victimes. À cet égard, 3 priorités doivent être mises en avant. Et c'est d'ailleurs des recommandations communes qu'on va retrouver dans les rapports aussi bien de notre commission africaine que de la mission d'établissement des faits du Conseil des droits de l'homme. Premièrement, c'est d'assurer le respect du droit international humanitaire et du droit international des droits de l'homme, en particulier l'interdiction des attaques contre les civils. Deuxièmement, c'est de garantir un accès humanitaire rapide, sûr et sans entrave, tout en facilitant un passage sûr, y compris à travers les frontières internationales. Et enfin, renforcer les mécanismes de protection tout en soutenant les pays voisins confrontés à une pression croissante liée au flux de réfugiés. Je voudrais, Madame la modératrice, conclure en disant que les déplacements massifs au Soudan ne sont plus seulement une conséquence du conflit aujourd'hui, mais ils sont malheureusement une manifestation visible d'un système de protection qui a failli et qui a cédé. Et que notre responsabilité est aujourd'hui une responsabilité collective et qu'elle est double. Parce qu'il nous faudra, d'une part, documenter avec rigueur, mais d'autre part, agir en cohérence. Et c'est en partie cela que doit signifier aujourd'hui peut-être la connectivité entre les mécanismes des Nations Unies et les mécanismes africains. Faire en sorte que les faits établis conduisent à la protection et que les violations documentées mènent surtout à une responsabilité. Je vous remercie pour votre écoute.
Merci beaucoup, commissaire Salma Sassi. Maintenant, je voudrais donner le parole. I would like to give the floor to Ms. Rim Al-Salem. She is the UN Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women and Girls and a colleague from the Special Procedure. Rim will join us online. Please, Rim, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the invitation to join this important side event. Excellencies, today I wanted to share with you some of the highlights from the technical visit that I undertook in December 2025 upon the invitation of the government of Sudan to Sudan. At the time, I visited 4 areas under government control in 4 states. There was Khartoum in the state of Khartoum, Al-Dabba in the northern state, Wad Madani in Al Jazeera state, and Port Sudan in the state of the Red Sea. Now, following the visit, I had shared a detailed report of my findings and recommendations with the government of Sudan. I will not go into all of these here. I wish to, however, focus on 3 issues that I believe beg highlighting and that are relevant to our discussion. First of all, I must say that despite having been a humanitarian worker all my life, and having worked in crisis and conflict settings in over 13 countries, including, by the way, Darfur at the beginning of 2004, nothing could have prepared me for what I had seen and heard in the course of this visit. Nothing had prepared me for the scale and barbarity of the atrocities that were being inflicted on civilians, particularly women and girls. As we know, sexual and gender-based violence, including reproductive violence, is being used not only as a tool of war, but also ethnic cleansing and genocide. And several people recounted to me how members of the RSF, towering over their girls and women in preparation to rape them, had bragged about the imperative of raping them to improve the offspring of the non-Arab African Sudanese communities and tribes. The atrocities that are being committed against women and girls in Sudan, which is, of course, the subject of my mandate, but also that were committed against refugee and migrant women and girls, are not limited to rape and gang rape, but they also include many other, like extrajudicial killing, pushing them into destitution by robbing them of everything they had, including personal pieces of gold, subjecting them to forced and child marriage, selling them as slaves, including for sexual exploitation, and forcefully disappearing them. And so it will be important that any investigative mechanisms take account of the totality of crimes that are being, of course, committed against civilians, but I would say also against women and girls, and not only sexual crimes, and the crimes that affect them in very disproportionate and particular way. The trauma and the shock caused to victims of sexual violence, including gang rape, cannot be overestimated. Parents had to witness their children being raped in front of them multiple times. Female victims continue to be double victimized, as there are cases where their husband and families of survivors abandon them, pushing them into further marginalization and poverty and forcing them to resort to harmful coping mechanisms. The social norms are such that it is difficult for men who are fathers and husbands to also speak about the pain caused by witnessing these events and by the sense of failure they feel for not being able to protect their families. So I have urged the authorities to urgently also develop a strategy, including a strong communication component around the issue of sexual violence in Sudan that targets all members of society, particularly men and boys, and where religious and community leaders are fully involved in order to work with families and partners of victims to create, in particular, a more supportive environment that does not punish, blame, or re-victimize survivors and their children born out of rape. And this, I would argue, cannot wait. Otherwise, those who wish to destroy the fabric of Sudanese society will get what they want. Now, women and girls that are survivors of sexual and gender-based violence have also found it very difficult to access immediate medical attention, as well as sexual and reproductive health facilities. We know why this is the case, particularly due to the continued relentless and deliberate attacks on hospital and medical staffs and the underfunded humanitarian response, but also the stigma associated with being a survivor or the lack of information. So these realities must be urgently addressed and reversed. And finally, one issue that we don't speak about enough is the fate of children born through rape. Rape overwhelmingly by individuals affiliated with the RSF. And this issue does not receive the attention it deserves. We don't know exactly how many children are affected because statistics are not available. We know that most of these children are put for adoption or put in foster families chosen by the authorities, but it is not entirely clear whether this is truly voluntary. There is no standard operating procedure or formal vetting process for foster parents or adopting parents. But overall, I would say that here, as I've conveyed to the authorities, I am concerned there is no uniform policy on how to protect, assist, and care for children born out of rape, neither at the federal nor the state level. And more concerningly, there is little capacity, understandable, of course, but still, to follow up on these children. So a strategy must be developed urgently to assist and protect children born out of rape as a matter of priority. And I think this is something where the UN agencies and also relevant African commissions on women and children at the African Union can help. Of course, that strategy has to be in line with Sudan's obligations on the right of the child. But I believe Sudan can also benefit from some of the good practices that were adopted by countries that have had similar experiences in conflict, whether it's Bosnia-Herzegovina, Iraq, Rwanda, or others. Now, of course, a lot more can be said, but in the interest of time, I'm going to stop here. And thank you once again for having me.
Thank you very much, Reem, for your intervention and contributions. Now I would like to give the floor to two representatives of civil society organizations. I would like to start with Nazik Caballo. She is the director of Sudan Women Rights Action. Please, Nazik, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for everyone hearing us here today, and thank you for the work of the two fact-finding missions at the African Commission and the International Fact-Finding Mission for their efforts to document the crimes committed in this conflict in Sudan. It's unfortunate that whenever new conflict in the global context come, Sudan is being pushed behind, and I hope this session today is going to remind all of the international community members attending here that this is the largest humanitarian crisis in the world today. Whatever is happening in our world now, Sudan remain 50 million people in conflict, half of them in need of humanitarian aid. Half of those in need of humanitarian aid are women and children, actually. Unfortunately, the conflict continued to expand, impacting women and girls in particular, and children. The reports of the respected commissions here focused on the situation in Al Fashir. Unfortunately, I really support every word said by Ms. Muna here regarding the legal description of what happened in Al Fashir. Thank you for naming it as it is. It was a genocide, and it is unfortunate that wars are always fought in Sudan in a genocidal way. It's always lead to genocide. And please, everyone hearing me here, it could be replicated again very, very, very soon. And we should not stand and watch another genocide and come here again and talk about it and try to document it. After it happened, we have now the conflict expanding in Kordofan. Just a few days ago, RSF committed another crimes in Bara area. 12 civilians were killed, among them 6 women, 7 people were injured. They were accused of supporting the government or the Sudanese armed forces. These are innocent civilians. In Sudan also, there is a drones war that is happening by both sides in the conflict, where also civilians are the only ones who are losing their lives across the country. The infrastructure of the country, civilian institution, including hospitals, universities, electricity station, telecommunication stations are being destroyed across the country because of this drone war that is only impacting how civilians can survive during this conflict. And especially women and girls are impacted by all of that because unfortunately, there is nowhere is safe in Sudan anymore because what is going on from the sky. drones can hit you anywhere in Sudan at this point in time. We are also having rising threats and conflict in the Blue Nile state, in the southern eastern Sudan, where also drones attack has intensified in the last few weeks. Thousands of civilians have been moving into the major city of El Damazin, running away from the drones and the military movement by the RSF and its allies like SPLM North. I have to also mention that for women-led organizations and for human rights defenders, it is extremely difficult for us to work under what's going on in Sudan in this conflict context. You are not hearing a lot about what's going on in Sudan because we are under attack by both parties of the war. We are being detained, we are not accessing information, we do not have freedom to speak, we are not able to move freely across the country to document. Working on human rights documentation in Sudan is a crime, and so many activists are being detained, being killed, being threatened, being forced to leave the country because they are doing that, especially women human rights defenders. I want to mention last thing that accessibility to humanitarian aid is a must to protect civilians in Sudan. When we talk about the mechanisms of protection of civilians, I don't think that troops on the ground are going to help more than giving the people in Sudan the dignity they deserve in accessing humanitarian aid, in accessing options to leave the areas where there is fighting going on. There is no evacuation processes going on in Sudan at all. People are taking difficult routes, insecure routes across the country. So fighting parties must be pressured right now to open safe routes for people to be able to evacuate, especially in all of the besieged areas in South Kordofan, North Kordofan, and also probably in new areas in Blue Nile. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Nazik. I will now give the floor to Mashpa Isa. He is the program coordinator of AWAFI, which is a Sudanese organization. Thank you.
It's our Sudanese organization. Thank you so much, Iwa, and thank you also for the fact-finding missions members, as well as for the special procedures members, and for the work that they are doing for the Sudan. It's really appreciated, the report that you are doing. In regard to the collaboration and working of the Sudanese civil society, while they are also facing this devastating war, and while they are also putting a huge effort in order to feed those mechanisms, it's been like an important to sing on enhancing the collaboration between the mechanisms. And I also would like to thank Committee for Justice for this collaboration between those mechanisms whom they are working with Sudan, the fact-finding mission for the African Commissions, as well as for the UN ones. And for us also, we're thinking to establish like a collaboration body. This can include also the accountability mechanisms like the ICC as well, whom they are working also in Sudan, particularly in Darfur region. So they will be also able to support the work of the accountability. And also it's important for the international community to support those mechanisms, technically as well as financially, so they would be able to work and operate effectively and efficiently without any interruption and extension of their mandate annually. This for the fact-finding mission. And I remember that last September we were being here for the advocacy to extend the mandate, and now we are about for the next September also to advocate. And also for the African Commission one, which is renewing 6 months, every 6 months, which is like interruption for them. This given the huge number of the violations and atrocities that's happening in Sudan, it's need also to sustain the work of those mechanisms. Also, it's essential to explore the establishment of the special court for Sudan, where such a court could take the form of the hybrid court, combination of the international, regional, and national legal expertise, as this model can offer advantages of integrating international standards and resources with the local context. Finally, it's crucial also to emphasize the role of the civil society organization, and also they have to be supported while they are working in very high-risk environment and navigating different challenges, including the lack of the funding, including also the continued targeting from the different parties. So it's very important to be supported, as they are representing also one of the main pillars of the work of those civil society or of the mechanisms. I mean, and it's very important also to advance the collaboration between them, so they will be able to share the informations and evidence for the different atrocities and violations. I believe that the report that issued by the fact-finding missions is contained and it's documented a very huge number of atrocities, but still there is some of the atrocities that will not be reflected on the report that issued by the fact-finding missions as well as the other bodies, which is required to advance the collaboration between those mechanisms, so they will be able to document the all atrocities and violations that's happening in Sudan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Issa. I know we are running short on time, but I would like to open the floor and take maybe 2 questions from the floor. Yes, please.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everybody. I wish to welcome you, Honorable Commissioner So, and your colleagues, Honorable Commissioner Saim, and Madam Selma Sassi. You are welcome in Geneva, and I'm really very glad to see also with you our dear friend and sister, Muna Rashmawi, on this panel. And this is actually what we have been looking for, that some kind of cooperation between the two fact-finding missions. And I am glad to see that cooperation is now building up, and we are looking to forward to see a joint action from both of you as the situation unfolds in the country. Commissioner, so thank you very much indeed for your assurance to us that you are taking up the matter of Sudan with seriousness. And the situation deserves. It is so acute, so dangerous, it cannot wait anymore. I have observed in the past that the intervention of the African Union and action, including the African Commission, it has really been disproportionate with the seriousness of the situation in the country. And I'm glad that to hear what you have said. I'm looking forward for further and in-depth discussion with you tomorrow when we meet, and I will confine myself here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Floor have been requested from, please proceed. Can I just ask for short interventions? We have 8 minutes left. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Aziz with the Global Tension Project. Thank you very much, the distinguished panelists, and particularly, I think, the FFM, the one of the UN and the African Union. I have a couple of questions. I think my first question is regarding to both commission. Has there been any investigation since the FFM? I think Dr. Muna has mentioned that they have managed to speak with the victims that were actually on the neighboring country. But also we heard that lately, as someone from the region, as someone who's from the region, we heard some allegation about the stolen of organs that actually taking place since the fall of Al-Fashir, which is not only one case, but I think hundreds of cases that start coming through, but it's really hard to determine that, I think, whether the fact-finding mission has also received this kind of allegation or not. That's the first question. The second question is regarding one of the civil society actually mentioned something regarding the use of drone. I believe that the use of drone, it's become, I think, one of the very, very dangerous weapons in today's world, and in particular that we have seen it in Sudan. It's been really, it's been widely used, I mean, in areas where we have been targeting civilians. And there is also I think, a drone attack that not only the one of Bara, but also there is a one that actually took place, I think, 3 days or 4 days ago in Athena, which is really targeting, I think, people who are really gathering to celebrate the last day of Ramadan, and then there is a drone attack. So has there been any investigation to track down where the productions of these drones, and as well also the shipment of the drone in Sudan, and the responsible, has there been anywhere to hold them accountable for the oversupplying of the drone into Sudan? Thank you.
So I will now give the floor to the representative of Sudan before coming back to the panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Also, I would like to take the chance also to thank the Committee for Justice for organizing this important side event. Also, I would like to thank the panelists, the speakers. And, I have only few comments. I will try to cover it because of this time constraint on that. When the African Commission established it, there is some concern raised from here in Human Rights Council about the ability of the African Commission to discharge its mandate. Unfortunately, always there is mistrust from certain entities about the capacities of the African entities. As Sudan, we support the African solution for the African problems. We understand always there is some challenges, that this challenge is not facing only the African Commission, but even the National Commission in Sudan. For funding, for the capacity, for how to dealing with some digital evidences. But we appreciate your visit and your report. We received the report. We have our comment on the content of the report. And, when we go to the report published by you also to other entities like OHC, HCR, we find even the report with the National Commission of Sudan, there is a lot of similarities in the conclusion and in the findings of this report, especially when it comes to the atrocities committed by RSF in Darfur against the 13 communities in Western Darfur, and after that in North Darfur. In Central Sudan, there is a lot of similarities. So we focus it more than one time to have the complementarity. It is very important for us to work with the National Commission. This is very important to reach good results for our work. For example, it is easy to say that there is atrocities committed by all parties. But if you took, we need to be careful when we're using the word systematically. Because systematically, when you mention that certain parties committed this kind of a violation systematically, this means there is repetition for that kind of. I mentioned it in the morning that when you say that it is very clear to us, and even on other reports, the RSF, which is the party which is committing the systematically sexual violence as the crime and the tool for war. The government of Sudan, our Attorney General, it has type of autonomy. It has its autonomy. And we publish it, they publish it for report and even address it the Human Rights Council, and they trying to engage with all parties. And their work, it is published and they can find it everywhere. And at the government of Sudan, they have plan for protection of civilians. And we have our work in the accountability and also in ensuring the access of humanitarian work. There is work done by Sudan. We cannot say that everything is perfect, but there is effort done by government of Sudan, so should be appreciated and should be respected. Also, there is a very important issue which is ignored in the report with the external factor. The fueling of the war in Sudan, there is another party that are fueling, they're supporting the RSF by weapon, by political support, by... Yeah, thank you very much.
Your intervention. If you allow me as the moderator, because we have 1 minute, although we did start late, 5 minutes late, I will give 1 minute to Dr. Mona, and then I'm going to give 1 minute to Commissioner So as the representative of the African Commission as we wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being here and your interest. Impartiality is key. When we look at a situation, and as we did in the situation of Al-Fashir, if the main responsible, is the rapid response, the rapid support forces, we will say that. If there are if the armed forces of Sudan are responsible. We will also say that, as we said in previous reports. We deal with issues with integrity and based on facts and law as we document them. This is really important. Thank you very much for raising the issue of the attacks, the drone attacks. We are very aware of that. Thank you both. And we are looking into this. This is something that we will soon be reporting into. The story of El Fasher hasn't finished yet. We will do more on El Fasher, but we will do on Kordovan. We will look into Kordovan. We'll look at the Blue Nile. We'll look at other situations, and we will report impartially with pointing responsibility to those who are responsible. Of course, just 1 minute, one second. Of course, access to the country is important, and we call on all parties, we call on the government of Sudan to facilitate our access to the country. We haven't been able to access Sudan. Sudan has a story to tell. If they don't want to tell it to us, it's up to them. But we are seeking access to Sudan. But if we are denied access, we'll still report on it. We'll still report on the situation, and we will say who's cooperating and who is not. Thank you very much.
1 minute to Honorable Commissioner So as we conclude. Thank you.
Je remercie toutes les personnes qui sont intervenues. Je voudrais vraiment dire que nous sommes dans le cadre de recueillir le maximum d'informations. Et les investigations que nous menons sur le terrain ne sont dirigées contre aucune partie. Et c'est au stade actuel où nous trouvons, c'est des allégations, c'est des informations que nous recueillons. Nous n'avons tiré aucune conclusion pour le moment. Aucune partie n'est pointée du doigt. C'est des informations brutes par rapport aux communications que nous avons avec les victimes sur le terrain et avec les victimes avec lesquelles nous avons conversé de façon virtuelle. Nous sommes heureux de constater, comme l'a dit le délégué du Soudan, qu'il y a eu au niveau national des investigations qui ont été menées, notamment par le ministère public. Il a mentionné que le rapport avait été envoyé au Conseil des droits de l'homme. Je voudrais lui demander de pouvoir peut-être mettre ces documents-là à la disposition de la Commission africaine pour nous permettre d'en tenir compte. Voilà.
Thank you, everyone. We are being forced out, but I just want to leave you with one thought, which was, wars in Sudan are always fought in a genocidal manner. Let's all remember that. And I invite the international community that has witnessed this event to also act. And remember that our mandate and us as individuals, we are here to save lives and to protect human rights. That's my invitation for all of you. Thank you very much.